Thanks be to the good Lord for another Saturday. We're grateful to be in your company this time to bring you the only, most authoritative platform for the discussion of the big issues and the personalities behind them in sport. This is the Joy Sports Link. My name is Nathaniel Atto, and maximum thanks to Gary Ayi Al Smith for sitting in. A lot to talk about. Do remember that we're entering a political peak season, and while we do that, there are major issues to discuss in sport as well. Here on 99.7 and on all of our digital platforms, we welcome all of you who are joining us from different parts of the world. This afternoon, we're continuing the conversations about getting the people back into the stands to watch our games in our Premier League. Remember, we started a campaign here, and there have been so many different angles to the story. Of course, while we do all of that as well, there are big cup games coming up. One of them being the President's Cup put together by the Ghana League Clubs Association. Well, their president is here, and he's going to tell us about the big buzz about this year's competition and who are going to be up for carrying that trophy. Now is also an established norm that the sitting president of the republic always has to be present for this very big game, adding the value and the needed weight to that cup game. Of course, away from that as well, we'll be talking about the EPL, race, and of course the Carabao Cup final. Whose side are you on? Do you want Newcastle to cause that very big upset against the Manchester United side that looks very much like they are in very good transition and are picking up the pieces very, very well and very smoothly and gradually? Well, we'll be discussing all of that here on the Joy Sports Link. And of course, while we do all of these, we continue to say a prayer for our fallen black star, Christian Atsu, his family, his close associates, and every single person who spared a thought or shed a tear. It sure is a very tough time for all of us, but as we walk and as we move along every other day, we know that it will be well. It has been announced that there will be a traditional one-week ceremony to mark his passing on the 4th of March, and that will be next weekend. We're bringing you more details on those. (055) to join the conversation via WhatsApp. You can also tweet at us. It's at JoySportsGH. Of course, the president of the Ghana League Clubs Association, Mr. Kujo Fianu, will be joined virtually by seasoned football pundit Nana Jiman. Also, from the stables of multimedia, Bismarck Owusu-Bempah, also known as Ayala. He started off this campaign, and we'll be taking a look at how far we've gone. We're yet to reach the crescendo though. Also, Nicholas Forson, an analyst here with Joy Sports and a health entrepreneur. He'll be joining us and giving us his thoughts about what's happening in the English Premier League. The Thomas Partey conversation, how close he possibly is to winning an EPL title. The little knocks here and there, the little, injury issues here and there. All of these and more on this cocktail edition of the Joy Sports Link here on Joy 99.7 FM. And you know that you can see the big football stars live in Europe as the Champions League kicks off this February. Remember, Match Experience Hospitality AG, the exclusive hospitality rights holder for the 2023 UEFA Champions League, is making this possible with its hospitality packages, which come with match tickets, flights, and accommodation. Yes, yes, yes. And the big questions we always ask you is who will win this one. But before that, you can follow your favorite club as they progress through the stages all the way to the finals in Turkey in June. Will Real Madrid win the Champions League for a record 15th time? Or do you fancy the Messi, Neymar and Mbappe combination to triumph? All you just need to do is to call Match Hospitality AG on 055 155 1118 or 055 155 1119. And that's how you reserve your booking. And you can also send an email for inquiries to sales@matchhospitality.com. The match ticket inclusive hospitality packages are subject to availability. So you book now. Match Hospitality AG, cheer like a boss. Thank you very much for staying here with us. It's 25 minutes past midday, and I'm glad to welcome you to another Joy Sports Link. Now, this afternoon, we're throwing our focus again on the numbers that we, see, when we're playing our local game. It is a very big determinant factor in marketing the product and making sure that we bring many big numbers along with us. But how well is this going, especially since we decided here at the Multimedia Group through the head of Insura Sports, Bismarck Usubempa, to start off this campaign, to start talking about that inadequacy of not having adequate numbers in our stands. How far has it gone? Where have we gotten to? And who else is getting into this conversation? What angles are they bringing to it? Is it relevant to getting a solution? We're exploring all of it here on the show. And that's the reason why you need to get on your keypads. Just punch in this number. It's +233 55 11 11 997. +233 55 11 11 997 here on the Joy Sports Link on Joy 99.7 FM. We will now start off with this.
Joining us on TikTok, a lovely switch from Fabio Gama. Fabio Poku with a lovely control. Fabio Poku! What a goal! Beautiful, beautiful, awesome, magnificent.
Kevin Amankuna behind the ball. And that's a drive in there. That's great equalizer! Great equalizer comes in for Clote. The experienced forward formerly of Great Olympics. It was just coming from that free kick. And you can see the former goal king getting the goal.
Well defended by Dream, but Asante got the very close. Moro! Back to the left back. Only one thing in his mind. Take that back. And then drive that home. And more, he's broke that home for Papa. I'm going to say, listen, what a magnificent goal this is. One of the goal of the season of Zambia. Now it's brought by Wafa. Patal's cross in. Radio Buka! Into Radio Buka on the far side. He wants to take his right leg. This is what it was right. Only wanted to talk too much about this game, but he knew Olympics could pop up with something. And he had the goal. Quaye goes in with a left-footed cross to his brother. Another second. Max Solomon makes it 2 for Great Olympics. If I want to go was better, then this one is simply fantastic. But he needed to keep his eye and keep his body really firm.
I wonder if that thing has a factual base. Because it's Accra and Kumasi that seem to be to have been suffering that. Go to Samra Boy and tell me that fans don't go to the stadium. Go to Takwa and tell me that they don't go. Go to Bechem, fans go. Generally. So I think that assertion, I wonder if it is factually based. But it is because these areas create the optics. But now, if you watch the Kotoko match in Kumasi, which was played on Monday, did you watch it on TV? Well, it was Monday evening. Look look at the number of people who were there. I think it means that one, when Haas and Kotoko, they have big following. So when they are not getting the results, some people get angry and they even don't want to go to the stadium. But again, it is also clear that if we could rearrange our timing, it may attract people. Monday, there's no football activity. I won't say no, but there are very, very few football activity, international activities. The EPL may not be playing, La Liga, which Ghanaians watch a lot. So you can get football-loving people to go there. So there are a lot of things that have to be done to attract a lot of supporters. Thankfully, the league would be going into this league owners managed system, which they call the autonomous league system. And I believe when we get to that point, I think there will be a more focus on how officiation will be good, because sometimes people don't go because they think, oh, this match we know the results, so we won't go and waste our time. How security will be good, and how the optics, because people watch TV because the park is nice, the jerseys are nice. People are the reason TV is that even yourself at your TV station, they hire people like you who are nice. They don't hire ugly people to be there. I'm sorry. So if the thing is nice, people will watch it. So I think these are my thought. It's a personal thinking. But when I heard this, I thought, is it really, really true? Because when you go to Samurai Boy, the stadium get almost full, and they get revenue. When you go to, there are some, for instance, Kotoku Royal is playing at Elmina. So obviously their fan base is not there. So, Cape Coast is not there, so you may not get their fans going there. That one is understandable. But in other places, I think we need to support Accra, Asofos, and Kotoko so they will get a crowd.
So you heard right there, Dr. Tony Obin. Dr. Tony Obin has his club roots at Midiama SC, and he is also a serving executive council member of the Ghana Football Association. He's been sharing thoughts on this campaign that we have waged here at the Multimedia Group through Insura Sports. And he says that, look, this situation is probably just an Accra and Kumasi problem. What do you think about it? Have you been to any league center outside of the traditional Babayara and Accra Stadia? What do you think? Do you agree with Dr. Tony Obin? Because, if it's a 10,000 seater and there are 10,000 seats filled, then it's full. If it's a place that doesn't have spectator stands and you have about 1,000 people who have surrounded the perimeter, then it's full. But is that what we're looking for? And that's the reason why we're starting off our conversations today with the president of the Ghana League Clubs Association, Mr. Kujo Fiano. Thank you very much, my boss, for joining us.
It's always a
the
pleasure.
one and only mafioso.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to be part of the cocktail, the weekend cocktail.
Very well,
So
very
it's
well.
very refreshing to be here. Yes, people are bringing in so many angles.
But before we go into the angles, we're in very tough times. The passing of Christian Achu. Last weekend, we had a very extensive conversation about his life and his work. And, of course, we're still in that mood of mourning. It's been confirmed that there'll be a one-week ceremony next weekend. Now, we're burying Mark Addo of the Ghana FA today as well.
Today has been, or this week, we'll say it's been a week of sorrow and tears, starting with Achu. We've lost Makado, that hard-working guy at the Ghana Football Association. The body, I'm sure, by now is on its way to the Medina Cemetery for the final rest. Apart from that, this young up-and-coming coach, Wilfred Dormon, has also lost the wife.
The wife, yes, that's true.
So
yeah.
she's also being put to rest today. Not forgetting this old hand, Boafo, Mr. Boafo. We used to call him Fly, a long-time welfare officer of Liberty Professionals. He's also being put to rest today.
And we also must extend our condolences to Amon Kwamreku, former.
Yes,
you
for
know,
also losing
yeah,
the dear mom. So
Yeah,
this weekend, not too good for the football people in quotes. Yes, let me also pay my respect to Achu. I encountered him briefly when I was given the appointment of the vice chairman of the Blasters Management Committee, and I came into contact with him. You know where I'm coming from. Achu is supposed to be one of my kinsmen.
very well.
So when I met him, the first time I started with my dialect, and I realized that he could not speak the Ewe language, more so even understand what I was telling him. So he told me,
He's rather dangby.
yeah, he's rather Dangbe.
Yeah.
So we changed the conversation.
Yeah.
Achu was a gentleman, one out of the lot. The way he speaks, the respect, the way he mixed up with his colleagues,
Yeah.
the bonding. And even though I spent just a few months with the Black Stars, he was very key. And I wasn't surprised he carried the Black Stars on his shoulders in Equatorial Guinea. That eventually we could not win. We lost by penalties. But he played his part. He was adjudged the player of the tournament. And he scored the best goal of the tournament. It's rather sad that Achu did not live long, did not carry on from there. At least a trophy for the Black Stars would have been an icing on the cake for him. But all the same, he pays his dues to Ghana football. The very day he emerged and earned that nickname of Ghana Messi, the way he scored goals with his that fast left foot. Being a southpaw myself, I had that bias for him, and I loved him playing football. Ghana has lost one of its prime gems, even though he was not that active. Coming to the flip side, out of football, so refreshing to see Achu giving back to society.
And the volume and
The volume, yeah, the
and
volume.
the extent
The
to which he had
extent
gone.
to
I
which he
mean,
was doing it.
I knew that he was into, but I listened to a person would describe as his partner, his name has escaped me a bit. Ibrahim, he has a Muslim name.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
The one
the
who's
gentleman
doing
who's
the-
been running
the prisons
the
program with him.
outreach program,
outreach
and
program.
and I was listening to some of the details of the dealings that he had with Achu, and I said, "Wow,
Yeah.
wow."
The extent to which Achu went, Ghana would have been a better place if more of our stars had given back to society
the way he did.
the way he did. Achu, you cannot classify Achu as one of those big earners. But he was ready to share the little that he was getting, to the extent that he even gave out his first paycheck to charity. He even extended it beyond the borders of Ghana. I heard of that Nigerian who said Achu paid for his university education.
Wow.
So we've lost somebody with that heart to give. And I'm sure wherever he's resting, see, the Big Book Road said that those who give receive more blessings. I'm sure I should be receiving more blessings. We only pray that the kids he left behind and the wife, I will be very, very happy to see one of the kids or the two step in his shoes, so that that Achu dream can live on. It's been a shock. It's been a shock, and I think this is one player. Yeah, we've seen some before, but this one, because of the level of his benevolence, it's hit Ghana so hard that it will take us some time to recover.
Well, also joining the conversation this afternoon, Bismarck Owusu-Bempah. He's the head of Insura Sports. He started this campaign of, exploring the problem and hopefully bringing a solution, to bring people back into the stands to watch our game and enjoy it. Nana Jiman, is a long-time football pundit and a coach.
Why is he hiding?
Yeah. He will tell us today. So, Nana, thank you very much for joining us. Mr. Kojo Fiani has been asking a very simple question. Why have you been hiding?
No, you see, good afternoon to you, Kojo.
Good afternoon.
You see, it's not about hiding. You see, we have to adjust ourselves so that we're open to different views. We can't just be in a lane whereby we will only listen to those who support us. And I think that some of my views don't run in line with Galka, doesn't run in line with the GFA, and so it's not valued. In fact, there's lots of views outside of the football fraternity that is not taken on board and that is not valued because it doesn't seem to coincide with what's there. And so it's not that I'm hiding or anything, but Galka and the GFA have a way of freezing people out because their views don't seem to be the same. And I think that's the challenge. Because, of course, there's a lot that I can contribute. There's lots of different ideas that I have. But if there's no one to listen to those ideas, or no one to take those ideas seriously, or those ideas have been put in a particular envelope of being against, then there's no point talking. So I'm not hiding. I'm here, Kojo. I'm watching all that's going on. I'm watching everything that's going on in the football fraternity. So what can I do?
Nana, you know the relationship between you and I, and my doors are always open.
Very well.
Bring whatever you've enveloped. I'll open it, and why not? You cannot just. I use the word hiding in quotes is because I've not been seeing my brother for a very long time. Whatever projects that we plan to execute, my doors are still open. Come over. Let's think through them for the betterment of Ghana football. That's why we are all here. So, Nana, let's meet so soon.
I hear. I remember. Let me tell you something I've not told you before. First on Joy, when we had the Jamifra inquiry, they actually called me. I had a private session with them, and they asked me to, submit a plan, a way forward, which I submitted. And it was supposed to be carried in the report. But unfortunately, the bigger boys that were there, the other coaches, they were all coaches, they rejected it. And they didn't want it to be a part of the Jamifra inquiry report. So, I know where I'm coming from.
Okay.
I know exactly where I'm coming from. And I'm just releasing that for the first time.
Yeah. Let's also bring in, Bismarck. Bismarck, good to have you here on the show. Nice shirt, by the way.
Well, pleasure, Nat, and good afternoon to Nana and Mr. Fiano.
Good afternoon, Ayala.
Yeah. Great. Look, we are definitely getting closer and closer to a big forum that will bring all of us together to discuss this and find a way forward. But now there's an angle to it, and Dr. Tony Orbin has been talking. He says that, look, he feels that this is a problem that's limited to Accra and Kumasi alone. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. Let's hear your initial thoughts on that.
Okay, I think it's very, very fair for him to ask for figures and facts behind a campaign. As an executive council member, he doesn't need to join anything that has no basis. So for me, it's very, very legitimate for Dr. Orbin to ask if even it is fair and it is backed by facts that indeed attendance at our various centers in the local league are down. Now, you see, first of all, when Dr. Orbin talks about Accra Sports Stadium, it is not only about House of Folk. We have Olympics. We have Accra Lions. We used to have Legon Cities and other clubs playing at Accra Sports Stadium. And when we talk about local league, we are not only talking about Premier League. We are talking about Division 1 clubs too that plays their matches at their Accra Sports Stadium. When you come to Kumasi and you talk about the Baba Sports Stadium, you are not only talking about Kumasi Asante Kotoko, you are talking about King Faisal too, until they move to the Dr. Kwame complex. Now, if Dr. Obin is asking for numbers, let me give him this. That in the game against Iswatreman with King Faisal as the host, Nat, could you believe that only 48 people bought tickets for that game?
48.
We've already published. Only 48 people bought tickets for King Faisal in Swatreman at the Baba Sports Stadium. Now, we've already published that per the books of the NSA, only 11% of the stadium capacity at Baba were filled by Kumasi Asante Kotoko supporters last season. Only 11%. And I believe that 11% is way higher when you compare it to Accra House of Folk last season at the Accra Sports Stadium. We've been publishing numbers of people who have bought tickets to watch games at both Baba and Accra Sports Stadium, and we are yet to hit the 4,000 mark for a single game this season. Well, and that's how horrible the numbers are.
Can you
now
say
to
that
gear
again?
towards his strong point?
Yeah. Can you repeat that? You're saying that we are yet to hit the 4,000 mark. 4,004 with 3 zeros.
Yes. Yes, for a single game in terms of patronage, both at the Baba Sports Stadium and the Accra Sports Stadium this season in our league. Wow. And we are talking about 35,000, 45,000 capacity stadium before even gotten where 4,000 people have bought tickets for a single game in the Ghana Premier League. And these are facts. He asked for them. We are going to give it to him. Now, let me gear towards what his strongest points are. Talking about going to Samuna Boy, talking about watching the games at Baby and the rest. We started this campaign. We thought that their numbers were good. So let's go there and interview some of the CEOs at these clubs and ask what they were doing very, very well that the big clubs in the cities, the bigger cities, are not doing. Now, we had hold of Yao Edu, who is the CEO of the BNI Go Stars. But you will be surprised. What he told us was that in the first season of the BNI Go Stars, because they've been at the wilderness of Ghana football in the Division 1 for a very, very long time, the anticipation and the expectations of the club was so much high when they gained promotion into the Premier League. So their first season was spectacular in terms of attendance at the dance park. But he, comparatively, in terms of the figures, can tell us boldly that attendance has gone down in their second season of the Premier League. So they even couldn't sustain the much talked about spectators when you go into the smaller cities. So yes, we can talk about some matters. This is the first season. The expectations is there, the enthusiasm of the supporters to watch their club play. First timers in the Ghana Premier League is there. But what we are talking about is sustainability of these numbers. Now, when Aviana came to the Premier League, the Nana Stadium at Doma used to be full every match day. You can say same for today. Not even when a car of Kotoko is in town. It has gone down. The same. All the clubs that are in the hinterlands that you may use as an example, they don't really have the sustainable numbers from their first season to their second and to where they've gotten to. And those are the indicators. Now to Dr. Tony Obe, look, you go into any country, they are big class and they are the standards. You can't mention Spanish club football without assessing it through Barcelona and Real Madrid. So if an executive council member is not worried that the numbers of Barcelona and Real Madrid are down, and that is speaking for the Spanish league, you know really what he's talking about. Protocol and how to talk are the standards of Ghana people. And if their numbers are not there, they are the reference points. They are the reference points. And look, now because their home games are not being patronaged, when it used to be, Mr. Piano will tell you, when he owed people, then as the CEO of Ashanti Gold, he will tell you, wait, if I play Kotoko, I play House, I'll be able to raise enough and pay you. Now, if those Kotoko and House are not able to even get spectators for their home games, do you think that any of these clubs can be very, very expectant of getting huge numbers at their venues for their away games? And the answer is no. This matter didn't start from this administration. It has been long overdue, over a decade, that we've seen decrease in the attendance at these various stadiums. So nobody is blaming the current executive council so that they come and do any PR. The fact of the matter is that attendance at our various venues for the local leagues down. They are facts, they are backed by figures, and if the executive council of the GFA are interested in knowing the figures, they would have even known before multimedia raised this campaign for them to come in with these points. Not.
Well, the thoughts of Bismarck Owusu-Bempah, who started this campaign on, the low numbers in our Premier League. In a bit, I'll be bringing in Nanajiman on his thoughts on this as well. But off air, we were sharing, some thoughts about some of the realities as well that are confronting the smaller venues that look well patronized.
You see, this issue must be looked at and looked at holistically, because even where we think we are seeing the numbers, there are question marks that should be asked. In this age and time, we still have stadia where people go and they're not issued tickets. Some will have their palms stamped. Maybe the rate that day, official rate on the ticket will be 10 cedis. And people's palms will be stamped and they will pay 5 cedis. You cannot do that in Accra. You cannot do that in Kumasi, because these are stadia belonging to the state. So they will not collude to do some of these things. But in other areas where the stadia are being controlled by the clubs themselves, so many things happen to make sure people come to the stadium. So I don't want to go into that realm of the discussion, because if today we should move maybe some security from Accra to go and man those gates to ensure that people pay the right gate proceeds to enter, we will not get the numbers that we are getting. So realistically, we need to sit down and look at these things in real terms and see how best they can be shared. Look, as we speak, we're trying to see how best government could waive off this VAT thing for us.
Okay.
You need data to put in your case. You go to the other league centers, it's a challenge to get the data because they are not recording the right numbers. So it is not to say that those stadia are getting the numbers and the other crime commercial are not getting it. Something must be done about this thing to ensure that all clubs are rated on the same level. As Ayala said, yesterday, your sister station, Asampa, also as part of this desire to bring in the funds, is Honorable Ignatius Bafwewa, the Minister for Labour.
Yeah.
He was there. He is the owner and back ruler of Swantremine.
Yes, I remember. Yeah.
Yes. In his presentation, he said when he got to Premier Division and he asked the management to give him a budget, he was so excited that gate proceeds were going to be, or was going to form part of his main source of income. But when they started the league and the figures started churning out, he realized that he was in bad business. He was also not recording the numbers that have been budgeted for. So I will not go into this argument by saying that the smaller, there are certain things they will do to get the numbers, which cannot be done in Accra, Kumasi, Cape Coast, or Tamale. So we are still recording deficit, or the numbers are reducing by the day. We having Olympics and House of Folk next Wednesday. Last season or so, the crowd had to break into some of the gates to enter the stadium. But when Olympics played House at the beginning of this season, we didn't get those numbers.
Sure.
So we need to find out what the challenge is. And that is, I think that's the puzzle we are all trying to fix. So we should all come to table, unravel where the challenges are, and take it on head on. Some are talking about e-ticketing. E-ticketing is not being operated at Obuasi. It's not being operated as Waterman. But Honorable Ignatius Bewa said yesterday that he was also recording reduction in the number of spectators. So
talk about e-ticketing, and before Nanajiman comes in, there are some thoughts being expressed that have been expressed by the Ghana FA president. We'll be bringing in that soundbite very shortly. But Nana, I mean, you've heard the submissions given so far. There are issues of the inability or that inertia on the part of the clubs to capture proper scientific data and give real numbers so it could help the process of making a case to government about, for instance, waiving the VAT element of the cost of entry to our stadia, and so the problem remains. The people are not going to the stadia, Nana.
Well, there are lots of issues, Matt. And look, Kujo Fiani has been part of delegations that have received the English or travelled to Germany or gone to South Africa to see how they run their league. We've done all of this before. Am I lying, sir? We've done all of this, and we've not learned anything from it at all. Nothing has come from it. Nothing has come from it at all. The English FA have come, they've told us this is what we do. This is how we do it. We've travelled to SA, we've travelled to Germany, we've travelled to other, prominent league setups. But we've not learned anything from it now. Not learned anything. It's just been a glorified vacation. And you see, even when you talk about the management of the clubs, I mean, look, the management of the clubs need to be changed. I mean, I'm looking at this young man here who is talking, and one of the biggest beefs I have with our young population is they're not getting up and asserting themselves and taking over certain positions that are there. Because, to be honest with you, I'm 61, right? And I'm sure Kujo is around the same age as well. And the majority of people who are running our football, we're all pensioners. But why can't the young people come in and run it? We've been there for decades, 3-4 decades. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed to the point where even if you're a 40-year-old, you've never seen your national team come off the plane with a trophy. As a 40-year-old, that's decades of non-achievement. That's what it is, decades of non-achievement. And when you look at our league, and when you bear in mind that having a local league is not just for entertainment or not just for playing a local league, that the local league is supposed to give you the basis to select players that can represent your country nationally on all different levels. On all different, and we don't see that. We don't see it. It's not working. The same people are running everything, and it's not going anywhere. You talk about, tax incentives and what have you. Do we have the sports bill yet? Because we've been talking about a sports bill for 20 years. 20 years. We don't have a sports bill. And the likes of a sports bill that will offer multinational companies that are here, as well as our local companies that are here, long-term tax incentives if they plough money into football, if they plough money into different clubs or just football in general. They should benefit from tax incentives. We've been talking about sports bill for a very long time. Nothing happens. All the sports ministers that come in, their only concern is the Ghana Black Stars, travelling here, travelling there, first class here, first class there. But look, they actually don't even know anything. I mean, let's just be honest. They don't know anything about association football or about sports in general. They know nothing.
Which
certainly,
category of people?
Certainly next to nothing.
Nana,
and this is the problem.
Before you go on, Nana, which category
people
of
at the
people
helm
are
of
you
our
referring
sports,
to?
and it's all of our sports.
Can you hold on a bit, Nana? Now, which category of people do you refer to as those who do not know anything about association football. I need you to
No,
be clear on that. Because
I've just said that our sports ministers that come, it's not just football they don't know about, Nat. It's sports in general. They don't have a clue about it. It's politicized. They only want certain things to come out of it because it will benefit them as a political party, and they can blow that political trumpet and say, yes, we've done something. That's not the way our sports is supposed to be run. That is not the way our sports is supposed to be governed. Not at all. So when I listen to them talking, I just go, they're just talking again. What do they do? How do they contribute? What enabling environment do they create for association football to survive, to thrive? They don't create anything because they're only there on a political basis, and all they're thinking about is the next election. That's all they're thinking about. So I think we've got to go well beyond this. Look, we have been attending meetings with different associations for donkey's years. Ask them, what have they learned? Kuju was a part of it. Ask him. Ask him. What did he learn? What did they implement from those discussions with South Africa, from the discussions with the Germans, from the discussions with the English Premier League? Great. What did they learn and what did they implement?
Yeah, very important point you've raised there. So it's good. Mr. Kujo Fianu is here. Would ask him the question. Mr. Kujo Fianu, he talks about capacity building platforms that yourself and many other of our elite football administrators have been a part of. And from his end and from what we see, unfortunately, we do not see the hard evidence of the development of the game or the forward movement of the game on the ground here. Where is the challenge, and what's the response to that claim?
I wouldn't hold Nana for any of the things that he said, because I would say I have to admit that either we've delayed in doing those things or they are not being done at all. Yeah, it's a fact that I was part of a body that traveled to South Africa to study the way their league was being run. We did our part by coming with our report. What should be done? There is a difference between GALCA and the GFA. GFA are the regulators. They implement decisions or suggestions coming from the industry players. That was as far back when South Africa was bidding for the World Cup. That we traveled and came back. We presented our report. Action was being taken. And not to blame the media. The media was up in arms with us as to why we want to run our own league. And it brought some delay. But I'm happy that at the end of the day, I'm sure you heard the news this week that the new company had been registered where the league will be autonomous. Yeah, that's why I want to say that, yes, at least it's better late than never. We are seeing action be taken as to how to make our league independent and make it viable. It's now going to be registered as a limited liability company, and we all hope and pray that it works out. But don't forget, this issue of, I want to move out a bit. Now, the South African League. I think they're also facing the same challenges you're also facing here. Their league...
At least this weekend is the Soweto Derby,
yes.
So,
yeah, but
we're going to have some numbers in the stands.
It's not used to be
yeah,
as we knew of the Soweto Derby. So, yes, we need to look at the holistically. And Nana is not wrong. There are some action we should have taken some 10, 11, 12 years ago. But I want to say that at least we are seeing some signs of action being taken, especially on the league. That is where our scope ends. We cannot go beyond the local league. I'm talking about GALCA and talk about national teams. National teams are a different kettle of fish. But when it comes to the league, happily, Toby Apede's committee had done the job given them. They've registered a company, and we hope to see the league going autonomy. being an autonomous league from this season.
We're not ready for that, though. We are nowhere near ready for that. Nowhere
We're not
near.
ready.
That's the fact of the matter. You're not ready for that.
Okay.
It's
Before
somewhere
you make that point,
between-
Anna, let's take Bismarck's thoughts on this one as to whether we're not ready. We haven't gotten to the space or the place where we can implement the running of an autonomous top flight or Premier League.
No. You see, to go autonomous is to accelerate the commercial aspect of the product and make sure that issues of organization and other stuff are fixed. Now, I am very, very happy that for once we are going that lane. Now, Mr. Fiano said it right. We've had this ambition for a very, very long time. For me, what was holding that dream was simply the political will to disown some of what we have power over for others to also run it. Now, for me, the bigger picture of what we are doing is that we are having a major product of Ghana football now moving away from a political structure into a corporate one. Because definitely, if you compare the leagues that are autonomous to what we used to run here in Ghana, what we run here in Ghana, all these leagues have their CEOs and all stuff that have been given targets. So we can evaluate you easily if you are doing well in administrating the league or not. So for me, it's the structure itself changing for a major Ghana football product. It's something that delights me. Now, I understand where Nana is coming from because he's then putting us on the edge and say that, look, for instance, if you go to England, before you are admitted into the Premier League, there's something we call fit for purpose test. So you subject clubs like Beckham United, Diana, and the rest to this strict fit for purpose because if you want to be part of our company, the company is a commercial company that we sell. So you should be able to fit into it per the standard that we set. For instance, you need to get a very, very good secretariat. You need to appoint competent people in your administration. So you don't tell us this is your official while he doesn't have certificate of Ghana Physiological Association. You don't tell us this is your PRO where we can't find his name in the Gatetta list of Ghana PRO Association. You need to appoint competent people to administer your club. So all these steps in the fit for purpose must be adhered to. Now, you see, that in the past, the club licensing was supposed to deal with it, but the reason why we can't deal with it, we can't deal with it because the football structure is political. Now, if you hold clubs strictly by the club licensing, and you eliminate some of the clubs from the Premier League because they are not fit for purpose, they are not going to vote for you an administration. So we are not able to do these simple things to get to the standard. When we are moving into the corporate world, where the clubs will not depend on their votes as to who becomes the FA president, what Nana is trying to say, and I agree with him 100%, is that we will now then see how bold these fit for purpose tests will be carried out. Now the CEO will be strict to say, look, this is a commercial entity that you have given me, and for me to meet my standard, we will need strictly this standard of class to be able to be admitted into our league. Then we will know that all that we want to accelerate in terms of the problem that we've had in the past will be done. Now, we are talking about a league owned by the clubs themselves as shareholders, which will be transferable when you go to relegation and we give it to the new club that comes into the promotion. Now we are talking about people who will now have their own management team that will go on their sponsorship drive to gain sponsors for the Premier League. We are talking about a league now where when sponsorship comes, it is not a political figure who will come and explain to you that this component of the contract is going there, whether you agree or not, the political system will have it binding on all of you. No, this one is for you. You deliberate it yourself. Now, we used to say in the past, some funny story about, look, the Ghana League is not so organized, and that even a funeral can postpone a fixture. So now the clubs are going to own their own league. You are your own people. You draw your own sisters. You have to make sure that the organization is top notch. So we are moving into a very, very good space. We need to go there to try ourselves, to make sure we are bold in taking the right decisions. But the underlying thing is that if we are not disciplined enough and we are not ready to accelerate these things, the standards and everything, then we shouldn't go there at all because we will fail. But if we venture to go, then we must be ready to take the bold decisions that the old political system was not allowing us, and the corporate system must allow us to take for the good of the Ghana Premier League.
Great stuff there. Now, let me just quickly give us a message here, and that's in response to Nana Jiman, making the point about, the sports bill. Now, Jamal Dean, who is the executive assistant to the Minister for Youth and Sports, has sent this message. And so he says the ministry is currently engaging the select committee today, and I'm talking about the Parliamentary Select Committee on Sports, on the sports bill. The federations were engaged earlier this month. Thank you very much, Jamal Dean, and he's sent some updates on it as well. And I'm told that the draft has been made, and it's being
outstanding for a million years.
I'm coming to that point as well.
To exempt myself from this sports bill thing.
Very well.
But once it has come to the fore, let me pass a comment or two.
Very well.
Now you see, we do have the sports bill. We do have it, but it is as shallow, it is as empty in solving the problem of Ghana football as whatever. Now you see, again, going back to these politicians, when the MPP was in opposition, the current sports bill was passed by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Now during those times in Parliament, people like Honorable Kojo Bajimai, Honorable Frida Prempe, Honorable Esiama, and those that belong to the MPP sports parliamentarians and the select committee made a mockery of the bill and said it was very, very shallow, and that the fundamental problem of our sports is finance. And the sports bill that time that was being passed into an act didn't take care of the finances of our sports federations. Now they came into power, and as early as May 2017, the framework committee for the sports the sports bill, the financial aspect of it, the sports act that has to do with raising funds for the sports bill was inaugurated by the then Minister Esiama. We are talking about 2017. We are in 2023. And that framework committee has not submitted any work whatsoever on making sure that the financial act within the LI is being given a provision in our sports act. Now, I said it right. Look, we don't have finances. We need to have a sports fund. And the sports fund should be part of the legislation of the sports bill. Now, we have betting companies hovering around doing business with our sports. We are not able to say, look, we add 2% tax to you that will go straight into the sports fund. We are not doing that. We qualify for World Cups. We gain monies from FIFA. There is no rule that says this amount of percentage goes into the sports fund to look for our local leagues and other stuff. Nothing is being done. We sell players in Ghana, and the players that we sell, look at the distribution of the percentage of player transfers in Ghana. Because there's no sports fund, there is no contribution into it. We have players that comes to the Black Stars and various national teams that earn bonuses. We have not talked about having a percentage into the sports fund for other developments and other projects. Now you see, the main problem is that we don't have a sports fund. Nana was talking about giving tax rebate and incentives to companies that plow their monies into sports. That is being done in South Africa. That is being done in Germany. That is being done in every developed sports country. We talk about it. And the last time I heard any minister raise that issue was Honorable Neil Anteba Napoy, who was asking, pleading to corporate Ghana, oh please can we give you tax rebate? Must it be said, or it must be documented in it is very, very well processed.
Yes, I get very pained when I hear this part of the conversation.
And I agree with Nana. Look, we are in this problem because we've never appointed a competent sports minister who understands our issue, who understands the environment, who is the problem solver, who is ready to solve our problems. It has always been political, and you remain like this if you don't get it right.
I get pained when I hear this bit about companies getting tax cuts when they sponsor sport, and I look at my career, which has taken 2 decades of my 4 decades of life, 2 decades, and I look at the personal effort just on my side that I've made to have conversations about this particular aspect of running our sport. And it's just like we come to sit here every time. I've been hosting this show for a while. We come here, we recycle this conversation every other day, and we just don't see. There are days when administrations will come and we think that we're close to it. And then we backtrack because of, once again, like you said, the change in political power, political office. What's being done here by Honorable Mustafa Yusuf and the rest of the team? I am just hoping that this time we can reach a conclusion or an end so that we can see the implementation, the full implementation of the Sports Act, the sports law, which will have that component or that element which can draw finances and can have, a financing component which has a trust deed, it has seed money, and it can just start rolling so that this can move away from the talk shop element.
Yeah, not the accounts will tell you, the bottom line is about financing. And I'm happy Ayala and Nana raise those issues. If I'm a company and I've decided to invest into sports, and at the end of the day, I get nothing. I meet my shareholders, I meet my board members who are giving so much to sports. The question they ask you, what did you get back in return? And I don't think they'll approve of any sponsorship. No, at a point in time, corporate bodies were venturing into our football. It is not about having their names written in front of our shirts. Nobody gives money out for free. I would want to touch the political angle. If you have a nation that will want to qualify for the World Cup, not for the benefit of the game, but to satisfy politicians, that is where you have a challenge. That, President Kufuor qualified for the World Cup, so it is imperative on the late Professor Mills to also qualify. So as to where we'll get money to qualify for the World Cup, that one, it will be done for Ghana to qualify for the World Cup. President Mills leaves the scene. President John Mahama comes. Kufuor was there. Professor Mills was there. It is your turn to be there. So we'll move heaven and earth to qualify for the World Cup. Then you are convinced, with this crop of players, we can make it to the semi-finals. Let's give them $100,000 US dollars each. When it gets to that point, as to where the money is found to do that as a project, it is done. We had the bad experiences from Brazil. As Nana said, a commission was set up. What happened to the commission? Then, the first tenure of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, Ghana didn't qualify. You are the only sitting president who's never qualified for the World Cup. We have to qualify for the World Cup. We've managed to raise the money to qualify for the World Cup. We've gone to the World Cup. Appearance fee of 100,000 Ghana cedis. We went there, came back with nothing, but the money had been spent. If 10% of the monies that we spent on World Cups, we have no legacy projects to show, nothing to show. If those monies should be ventured into sports, we are talking about sports bill, so I wouldn't want to limit it to football alone. If football could even generate so much from the World Cup, I believe that part of those money should cascade into other disciplines so that we see the benefits that we derive from this thing. So we should take the political angle. If we take the political angle out of it, I'm sure we'll make a lot of headway in our sports development.
Okay, let's get these messages that are coming. There's one from Honorable Kwejo Ba Ajiman. He is the immediate past board chairman for the National Sports Authority and also CEO of the Ghana Digital Center. Now he says, "Good day, Nat. I don't know who's making the submission on the sports funding on your program. Well, it's Bismarck Owusu-Bempa. It's my colleague in our Kumasi operation. He's the head of Insura Sports. Now he was making that submission. So that's for your information. Now he says, and I continue to read, the sports funding. I'll urge him to find out more information before coming out on air to speak. The Sports Funds Committee, I know, has completed their job long ago. I know more, there's more at the ministry as well, but I know that the committee has submitted their work, and as to how it's not being implemented, he should find out from the ministry than saying nothing has been done. I know a legislative instrument is being laid in Parliament, so the acts can be formally made into law. Thank you very much. Honorable Kwejo Ba Ajiman. Now, Jamaldeen has also sent another bit of information. He says a sports fund policy is also in the pipeline. It was earlier sent to Cabinet, and Cabinet suggested that it be brought back for an impact analysis consultation. So these messages are all coming in based on the submissions that we're giving, and we're told that work is being done. Now, once again, all I'm just saying is, look, well, it's being done. Let's just hope that this time in 2023 we will have finality, so that we can move on from here, so that companies can be inspired more to bring in money and fund sport. I mean, there are so many things that are just lying down and waiting. I'll give you an example. I was in the US a couple of weeks ago, and there are conversations about having these big bouts here, just like back in the 70s. Don King can take a very bold world title fight in Zaire, which is now DR Congo. But where is the money? The money can be sourced, and the money is on our system. But it's just a matter of legislation, and how that legislation will be pushed is where we're still hovering around. Well, you send us a message. Send us a message. It's 055-1111-997. 055-1111-997. Let's do this other message from Raymond Nyamado, who's a television host and a pundit as well. Boss, the contribution on what's the contribution of football to Ghana's GDP? Does the FA or GALCA have a figure or a report on what's the minimum capital requirement for a club owner to competently run his club throughout an entire season? Now, are the club owners financially capable of investing properly and investing in their clubs consistently for 4 to 5 years before thinking of breaking even or making profits? Now, we are where we are because our club owners are not ready to continue to throw money in the game. Either they are broke or they don't see football as a proper business. Our clubs are not attractive. Okay, thank you very much, Raymond Yamado. He's raised some very important points here. So there's the traditional element where money is just being put in there, and
I think that's the conversation we're all having here. That we thought the club licensing will help in solving these issues, because definitely there are regulations. If you want to open a bank, there are regulations you have to follow. If you want to, whatever business you want to do, as if we classify football as business, then there must be regulations to follow. We should know the financial portfolio of somebody who wants to venture into football. Can he run a Premier Division club for 5 years, as you said? But we look at personalities in taking some of these decisions, because I can tell you that if you and I are asked to go and assess some of these pitches on which we play off Premier League, some of them are not fit for purpose. Then you ask yourself, how come these pitches
are being certified?
So we believe that is the reason why we need a legislation that we want to set up a football club. Bring your financial portfolio. These are the regulations for you to form a football club. If I want to form a football club now, second division, I have to just go and register a company, and if there's no slot and somebody is ready to sell off his or her club, I will buy, and then I'm good to go. I'm not asked if I have the financial muscle to continue with that business for even a minimum of 5 years. So I do it 1-2 years. I realize that in our part of the world, football is a bottomless pit. Let's be frank with ourselves. I will have sleepless nights if you ask me to give you a single club that broke even at the end of the season. So you ask yourself, what kind of business are you doing? A bottomless pit. You're only putting in money. So how do you sustain it? So you get to a point, you hear this team is, even premier clubs are changing hands like nobody's business. The latest, Karela, in the middle of a season, is changing hands. Yeah, you can say that, yes, it's happening in the EPL.
Yeah.
The Arabs are coming in.
Manchester United.
Yeah, so I think that we also have to maybe open our doors wider to invite agents who will come in to help us. But the question is, are we ready for those things? You get a club owner who cannot even pay maybe bonuses. Bonuses have run into arrears, and he will still want to hold on. So we need those legislation. If you are in oil marketing and you are not doing the business as it should be, there are regulators to regulate you. And I am happy that our league is going autonomous, and that the regulations, some of which I have seen, if will be put in place, there will be some sanity into our football. Football is not like parliament that every district must have a football club. If you cannot run it, you cannot run it. Nobody should force you to go into a venture that you cannot manage. So let's hope that the sports bill, whatever is coming out, will bring in the necessary structures. In boxing, the rules are there. You cannot just wake up and say, today I'm a heavyweight. The next moment, I want to come down to flyweight. There are rules to be followed. And it is the same with football. That is why FIFA will want football to be run in Ghana the way it is run in Germany and stuff. They wouldn't say, because you are Ghana, coming from a third world country, you should field 12 players. You field 11 players. So we need to follow. Copy the examples, the good ones, and do away with the bad ones.
Still here on the Joy Sports Link on Joy 99.7 FM. Let's get into the conversation that was raised by the FA president, Kurt Okreku. Now, he talks about one innovation which was supposed to have improved access to our games on the physical scale and patronizing our games. But it looks like we've had issues getting accustomed to it, and that is e-ticketing. Now, if I'm not mistaken, sometime last season, we had one of our very key games. I think it was a Super Clash. Tickets were bought, and I mean, the test was a good one because, I mean, we had majority of the people buy their tickets. I mean, there were a few issues here and there, but on the general scale, from a 60 to 70% scale, it was largely successful. And you're just looking at the access levels. I mean, the levels of access in the entertainment industry. How nowadays most shows and most events are run via e-ticketing. Why can't we just do it in football? Well, let's just quickly take a listen to the FA president, Kurt Okreku, and then after that we'll do some analysis on it.
There are two key areas or two key stadia facilities that will have big problems, i.e. the Barbara Sports Stadium and i.e. the Accra Sports Stadium. And I would want to say that one of the biggest challenges that we have faced has to do with the deployment of the electronic ticketing system. I believe in the electronic ticketing system, but I think that it was our football people were not or did not have the best of education on how it can be used. I think that if you want to deploy such a massive strategy which clearly departs or takes all of us from the way we're used to accessing football games. It's always important for us to have a clear educational strategy that would ensure that people really understand the strategy and people accept the strategy. It's also important that we bring people along so they own the strategy, and this was not done. So clearly, since the introduction of the e-ticketing strategy, Accra Sports Stadium, the Barra Sports Stadium, has seen a massive downward trend in consumption of games at both stadia. So this is a big problem, and I think that the Football Association is very much interested in engaging the Ministry of Youth and Sports on this particular strategy and see how best we can get this off as one of the challenging points in our desire to get people to come to our various stadia.
You heard the Bismarck. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yes. I heard the president speak
on that one. Yeah,
I think he has raised a very, very legitimate issue. But that is what I will say about it. You see, yes, for people who criticize policies, especially for a bigger project like the e-ticketing, we knew that we could have done very, very well with a little bit of piloting before its real implementation.
Yeah.
But there are people who also come from the school of thought that said, look, the e-ticketing was implemented, and very, very close to its implementation was the game at the Baba Sports Stadium between Ghana and Nigeria for the World Cup playoff. The process to gain ticket was through the e-ticketing, but the stadium was filled. So the attraction of the game first, and everything will follow. So the fundamental problem is that the attraction of the game itself is down. Now, we talk about concepts like the beam concert, Rapperholic, and all those things are bought through e-ticketing, and those venues are filled. It is because of the attraction of the occasion. So people will then have means to go through the process to buy it. Now, when it gets to the e-ticketing, we've been fortunate through our campaign to raise Mr. George Festus Mensah, who is the CEO of Ego Ticketing. And he has run us through some of the problems. Some are network, some are just lack of the knowledge to go through the process and all that. And in finding solutions, he, with some stakeholders, has raised the issue that, look, we are trying to find agents at very, very advantageous positions where we can entreat funds who can process the e-ticketing thing on the mobile platform. Just go to this vendor. When you go, it's either you give him the money, he will help you do it, or they bought the ticket online already and have the print out. So you just pay and they will give it to you. Then you use that to attend the matches. All that you need to do is when you get to the gate, it is scanned and you enter. So there are dealers or distributors or agents who will help you do that. So for those who can go through the process, but not. We are able to use Momo, so we'll be able to use e-ticketing. It's the same process. It doesn't need internet. It's just some software you use and all that. So we just need to intensify the education. But the major problem is that not. When you talk about beam concerts, Rapperholic, and all those issues, multimedia will host the program, we will buy the tickets electronically. Now, what the process is that the confirmation of these dates are there, and you can buy advance tickets way before. So yes, the concept is attractive. Two, the confirmation dates of the concept is there, and three, you can buy advance tickets. But speaking to Mr. Festus, who is the CEO of Ego Ticketing, the company that is in charge of the e-ticketing, one issue he raised was that, look, you can buy, let's say, a 3 weeks away fixture ticket today, because the confirmation of the fixture must come from the FA before you can lift it on the e-ticketing platform. And that is really not helping. It is not helping because from the beginning of the season, everybody knew Kotoko and House was going to play on this date. But until it is confirmed, you cannot list it on the e-ticketing platform for people to even start purchasing tickets for, let's say, the Manchester Derby or the Super Clash or anything. So the timing that is used to confirm these fixtures is helping how people in advance can process the e-ticketing for these said games. And that is one thing. Again, the scheduling of our games. Now, for instance, you have Dr. Obin raise issue of Kumasi Atlantic Kotoko evening games having comparatively a better attendance than the day games. If you say we should play on Monday night football, as compared to Monday or midweek, like we are going to do in the next league fixtures, on Wednesday, 3 o'clock, not, how will you be able, with your busy schedule at multimedia, people remember that you need to purchase e-ticketing to go and watch, say, Accra Great Olympics at 3 p.m. in the afternoon during working days. These are not helping. But if the games are in the evening, you know by 4 you are wrapping up from the office, then it comes to mind, oh, okay, I'll be watching Accra House of Folk against Great Olympics in the evening where I have free time. So let me purchase ticket. So the training and the confirmation of our fixtures way above time so that those who go through the e-ticketing can even have it right on time or in advance in some of these limitations, and we should see through it that the implementation of various agents in advantageous positions in and around our game so that those who are not so much inclined with using the mobile network to purchase the ticket can go through these agents who can assist them either through the electronic means or print it out and just take the money and give them these things. So yes, it's a problem, but it's solvable, and we must all get involved in solving these issues. Not
very well. All of these are just so we can have a better product and we can make a bigger case for it when we're marketing it. You're still here on the Joy Sports Link on Joy 99.7 FM. Just about 30 minutes to wrap it all up. Now, let's get into the President's Cup game. Now, the President's Cup, obviously put together by the Ghana League Clubs Association, which Mr. Kujo Fiano heads, is one of the cup games during the season. Before we go over to talk about the Carabao Cup final, we have to talk about our President's Cup. So it's a super clash game. Kumasi Asante Kotoko versus Accra Hearts-Tevok, the biggest fixture, the biggest league fixture. And, you know, this is what will herald the President's Cup game. The sitting president will be there. Yeah, and there's a new twist. Now, the league fixture is being used as the President's Club game. Tell us about it.
Yeah, you know the challenges we had last season putting together the President's Cup. We played the President's Cup just about 2 weeks to the second round super clash between Kotoko and us in Kumasi. So it was like we were putting too much pressure on our supporters. And we are watching one too many Haas and Kotoko encounters. This year being a World Cup year, the league was put aside for a couple of weeks. And like we did last year, Galka and government are thinking that the President's Cup should serve as a precursor to the independence celebrations. So last year we played on the 3rd of March. That was a Friday in the evening at Accra Sports Stadium. And the old man was there to grace the occasion. So we wanted to repeat the same thing either in Accra or Kumasi. Now, looking at the fixtures, we're having the Manchester Derby on Wednesday. You cannot play a competitive game within 48 hours. Now, if you should insist that House of Folk and Kotoko should play on Friday, they have the super class, that is the league, on the 5th. So, in consultation with the GFA, the two clubs, and the seat of government, we've decided that we should use the super clash as the President's Cup for this year. So, on Sunday, the super clash between House of Folk and Kotoko will have the element of the President's Cup dovetailed into it. So, at the end of 90 minutes, if the score should remain 0-0, the two clubs will get their 1 point each. Then we'll go into penalty kicks. At the end of the penalty kicks, the winner will then lift the President's Cup, 50,000 Ghana cedis for the winner and 30,000 Ghana cedis for the loser. So that we will not have to find another date to put together another super clash to honor the president. And this match is also coming just a day before the independence celebration. So it is still serving the purpose of becoming the precursor to the independence celebration. So that's what we put together. We've got the two clubs to buy into it. The GFA had given the approval, and that is what we're going to have on the 5th of March. So in as much as we're going to have the Super Clash serving as a league, it's also serving as the President's Cup.
Okay, so let's see how all of that goes. The Super Clash coming up soon, and so we'll see how all of it goes. Clearly, it should spark a certain level of excitement, considering the way things have gone generally this season. Would be doing some more here, and would want to switch over the conversations a little bit. Look at Ghanaian interest, outside of here, and throw a bit of specific focus on the brightest spot, in what is the biggest platform, which is the English Premier League. Now, in the coming weekend, there's a lot of activity. There's the Carabao Cup that's coming up, the Carabao Cup final. But most importantly, in the everyday doings of the English Premier League, there's the Thomas Partey element. And, his progress feeds very much into what we do in the Black Stars team. We'll be talking about him in a little bit.
The champions in front. Disaster strikes for Arsenal. And a wonderful finish from Kevin De Bruyne. Now what's Anthony Taylor given? He's given a penalty. Here he goes. And he scores! Bukayo Saka sends Ederson the wrong way. Confident, cool, and Arsenal are level. Bernardo Silva. Haaland's onside. Gundogan. Grealish. The Blues in front again. Fantastic decision-making from City. Composure when it was needed. And they responded in magnificent fashion. Gundogan. And now De Bruyne. Haaland! It just had to be Haaland. Goal number 32 of the season. And has that taken the Blues to the top?
All right, so just before we get into that conversation, brief comments before Mr. Kujofianu takes leave of us. But we'd like to say a very big thank you to Nanajiman. We lost our contacts, we lost touch with him there. We're going to take his brief comments on that one before wrapping up with him as well. But thanks so much to Nanajiman for the brilliant submissions as always. So,
even though Nana is a pensioner, he still has a lot of ideas to share with us. So let's see him often. We should blend the old and the new to make sure that we all contribute to the development of the game we all love so much. And to dovetail my comments on today's discussions, I think that we should continue with this issue of the dwindling numbers at the gates. We need to work at it, and I'm ever ready to contribute my quota to ensure that we bring back the fans to our various stadia. We should continue with the conversation for us to know exactly where the challenges are, so that we can tackle them and have our little bit that we want to do from the Galka point of view is that we're also trying to link up with some of the insurance companies to have our supporters insured when they come to the various stadia, because there are times, through no fault of theirs, some minor injuries or stuff like that, they could be taken care of so that they don't stand the risk of their lives or whatever when watching football matches. Let me commend the multimedia group, what you've been doing and what we've done so far to make sure that we bring our fans back to the stadium. And maybe before I take leave of you, the conversation around Yate, not Yate alone, every single Ghanaian playing in the EPL. I'm not an Arsenal fan, but I'm forced to watch Arsenal matches because I want to see what Partey is doing and what he will bring on board when he's invited to the Black Stars. Because we've seen what the Michael Essien, John Pencils, Asamoah Gyan, Sule Muntari, John Mensah,
John
Pencil, all those guys who played the impact they brought onto the Black Stars. So it is my prayer that when the time comes for Partey to come to the party, he should come to the party when it comes to our national team. He should be ready to carry. His impact must be felt. I'll be the first to admit that I'm expecting a lot more from Partey, because when you see the influence of Partey in us now, and Arteta comes to tell you when some matches don't go well, he will tell you the master craftsman wasn't around, and he makes sure that he brings him on board. So Partey should marry the two. First of all, yes, that's where he's getting the box. But then our national pride is also very important to us. So we'll pray for him that his performance should reflect on the fortunes of the Black Star. We, as Nana said, I don't know if any of you have seen the Black Stars disembarking from the aircraft with the trophy.
Bismarck, you know I'm hosting the show, so he's referring to you on the call now. So Edward, who's just yet to join the conversation, Nicholas Forson, Edward, Bismarck, you haven't seen the Black Stars win a trophy before, have you? Bismarck, yes or no?
No, I haven't.
Edward, yes or no? No.
No, I haven't.
Nicholas, yes or no? No. So sad. You guys were not. You're telling me you were not around in 1982 when the Black Stars won the Nations Cup. Okay, don't worry. We'll talk about that later. Thank you very much, Mr. Kujofiano. It's always a pleasure having you here.
It's a pleasure coming here also.
Let's
continue with the conversation.
Thank you.
Fans. So don't forget the Super Club Clash is a double do.
Yeah.
The 5th of March.
Yeah, great stuff. And we're going to be doing a massive build up to it as well,
that's
as we always do here. Thank you so much, Mr. Kujofiano, once again.
Man.
And so we're continuing the rest of the conversation on the upcoming Carabao Cup, but we're throwing a lot of focus on, we're picking a lot of the focus on the key person who leads the whole charge of our campaigners in the English Premier League, and then we'll pick the conversation from there. So Edward Abekwe, Nicholas Forson. Remember, Nicholas Forson was very key on our delivery on television for our punditry and our live match broadcast during the FIFA World Cup. He's joined us here. Bismarck Usubempa is also still with us. We'll be looking at that in a little bit. Okay, so we'll be getting him a little bit. Gentlemen, good to have you. Look, it's been good, knowing that we have at least one big star who is leading the charge of Ghanaian talent in the English Premier League, and it's refreshing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant because being an Arsenal fan and being a Ghanaian, obviously, from my point of view, it's like the best news ever. It's just unfortunate that irrespective of Partey's superb form, for Arsenal, whether it's tactics-wise, whether it's the position is being utilizing for the Black Stars, as Mr. Fiano already said, it's not reflecting in the Black Stars' performances and the results. But Thomas Partey, from a very analytical point of view, looking at the Arsenal team, he's a linchpin. He's what you call the midfield general. He's the pivot of the team. The whole team revolves around him. Whether we are going to attack, defend, anytime we are going in any sort of transition, Partey is a key person. So it's absolutely brilliant to be a Ghanaian and have such a key player for Arsenal. When we look at Arsenal, we're achieving by being on top of the league at this point in time, and you have someone as Partey who's more or less absolutely key for Arsenal. It's brilliant to see as a Ghanaian.
Let's come to you, Edward, for your initial thoughts on this one. It's a very big point of pride, but the most important thing here as well is that he's also delivering. However, I honestly sometimes get very worried by these little knocks and minor injuries. Good thing is that this afternoon against Leicester, it's been confirmed that he's good to play. He's match fit.
Yes, right. As you said, it's been unfortunate that the renowned Ghanaian international and Arsenal's number 5 has been riddled with injuries since his debut season. He's carried a lot of knocks here and there, and he's still yet to participate in the full Premier League season. He's a very, very important player to Arteta's team. His ability to break the lines, his defensive awareness in transitions, and the lot. They are all very, very important to this Arsenal team. Now, yes, I share the same concern as you have. Yes, we can also say that if you could do a little bit better in trying to keep fit, because being at such an important cog in an important position in a team chasing a title, I mean, there are no excuses. You have to deliver, and then earning big bucks. So it is your job, and you have to deliver. So yes, I share the same sentiments as we do, and we say that yes, he can still do a little bit better in trying to be completely fit for the season, because this young team has a really long way to go, and if he wants to be part of the success, you have to step up his game.
Let's now talk about, we've got a couple of months to go, but there's a lot of talk about Arsenal doing it again in terms of winning the EPL title. But there's reality, and that's what I like about you. There's the fanaticism. Your fanaticism is neutralized nicely.
I know where this question is going.
Look, how confident do you feel as a fan that this could happen at the end of this season? That you could win the title again at the end of the season?
Yeah, I mean, Arsenal is always seen as serial bottlers. We always seem to bottle like superb situations. So, I mean, to the amount of to most of the people on the streets, they think that we're going to bottle it. Prior to January, I wasn't very confident, because you see, like any business organization, you start a period of reporting, having goals and objectives. The target for Arsenal this season was to make the top four. We have a squad that was built to challenge for the top four and probably go some distance in the Europa League. Now it looks like we are overachieving and outperforming our goals and objectives we have from the start of the season. So per the time the January window started, transfer window, opened, I was a bit concerned, because it looked like some of the targets we were going for, either they were unrealistic or it looked like they weren't going to happen. You look at the case of Modric, for example. I mean, this is a guy who is a bright spot. We chased him on Twitter. They call it he was twerking for Arsenal. It was obvious that he wanted to join Arsenal. Yes, Torboli came up with the big bucks. But what I like about the Arsenal transfer setup this time around is there's a decisiveness. In past years or past seasons, you notice that whenever
we want to chase a player or want to get a player. Once we don't get him, it looks like that's it. We don't go for anyone again. But you look at the recruitment they did. You look at Trossard, who's been there, done that in the Premier League. He was almost everyone's player from a small team in their FPL teams, the Fantasy Premier League teams. You look at Jorginho, who's a proven winner. Now you look at the fact that Gabriel Jesus was brought in, you can see what Zinchenko does on the pitch. There's a lot of, yes, it's a very young team. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, they are on average are the youngest team in the Premier League in terms of age.
Sure.
But you look at the fact that they've brought in some winners. They've brought in players who can cover positions that were a bit worrisome, because we always worried about the fact that when Thomas Partey isn't playing, we don't have an able backup. I think there's a lot of limitations to Mohamed Elneny's game. He's a brilliant player. He's been great for Egypt, even for Arsenal at times. But he's not as consistent as we want him to be. Yes, you look at the skill set of Jorginho, you look at the skill set of Thomas Partey, there's a lot of differences. But for the role they perform for Arsenal, I think Jorginho can fulfill that. Yes, the physicality isn't there, but he brings other things into the game. He reads the game so well. He's an underrated defender. He's actually got good numbers in terms of defending. And most importantly, he's a proven winner.
Very well.
Why I'm a bit confident in that is the fact that the Premier League, we always say it's unpredictable. You saw City beating us a couple of weeks ago, and we thought, okay, we've lost it. Now come the weekend, you expect City to wipe Nottingham Forest. They dominate the first half. They don't score many goals. Second half, we all know what happened. Nottingham Forest equalized. Arsenal came out with 93rd minute winner and another goal to win 4-2 at Aston Villa. There's a lot of trust in Pep and everything, as Edward rightly said. My problem with City this season, from an objective point of view, as objective as I can be, is that I think Pep is having issues on settling on a particular back four or back three, back five, whatever you call it.
Very good. Very
His
good.
defense
Okay. Cool point raised there. So you know what we're going to do? I would want us to hold the City side of the conversation and bring it back so that we can talk about the United side of the conversation, because they have like a big deal on their hands in the next 24 hours. So tomorrow the game will be here. There'll be live commentary with our partners, the BBC. We'll be live here. And I just wanted to pick your quick thoughts on where you feel this game is going to go. Unfortunately, time is not our best friend. So let me begin with you, Edward, about expectations for tomorrow's Carabao Cup final, United or Newcastle. In a minute.
So now for these are two teams who are handled by two very, very good managers who have come a long way. They are playing some really good football, some really good progressive football, to say, in both their squads. Now, looking at on the balance of things, looking at this Newcastle team, they are going to heavily miss Nick Pope. That is their number one goalkeeper. He has been very key to their defensive stability this season. They have lost just 2 goals this season and have the least goals conceded. So he has been very key, as well as their back four. And then for United also, for their side, Rashford, the form of Bruno Fernandes has helped buoy them to how far they have gotten to that.
Very well.
So looking at this game, a cup final, it really is the little margins that decide this kind of games. It's you cannot afford to make mistakes. You cannot afford to overlook the little details that might matter. And then I am confident, and I'm saying that United can nick their first final this season, and then they can bring a trophy home.
Okay. So let me give the final word to Nicholas. Nicholas, it's a very big deal, and it could go anyway. Competition in the English Premier League is like that, and we've learned the lessons over the years. Now, Newcastle have their playmaker making a return tomorrow. Can that make any difference in the next 40 seconds?
I think it's a key difference. He's been massive for Newcastle. You've seen them draw games and not win games without him. I know that the Nick Pope factor is key, but the fact that they have a stable back four
Lewis Karius is a bit of a scary proposition because, ironically, Dubravka is captain because he played for Manchester United in the Carabao Cup. I think Newcastle having Bruno back is key. I think they're going to be solid as they have been in the Premier League. United have the momentum, all right. But personally, I think it's going to be a draw. It goes to penalties, and Newcastle makes it.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. It's been wonderful having you, Edward Abekwe and Nicholas Forson, to wrap up this conversation here on the Joy Sports Link.